We are Laynette and Renie, and we are career coaches. We have spent years teaching people how to look for jobs and do fabulous interviews and resumes. And today, we really want to focus on the topic of how do you talk about yourself, because it's one of the hardest things to do, whether you're doing it in writing or whether you're doing it orally. People find it really difficult to talk about themselves. And so we've put together a module for our clients that is all about talking about yourself, and specifically answering that most common question that people get in the interview process, which is
the most important question, and the one that they frequently ask most often, is going to be, so can you start off by telling me a little bit about yourself?
That's right. Tell me about yourself. And a lot of times people will answer that question with personal information.
Yes, I was born in 19 so-and-so. I've
Yeah,
been
let's
married
don't-
for this many years. I have 2 kids, 9 dogs, 5 cats, and 12 birds.
Exactly. Now, if you start out that way in an interview or in a networking situation, you've already kind of lost. You've lost your mojo. So we want to help you start out so that you actually are prepared for the question, and you answer it with great confidence, and you answer it in a way that's relevant to the job or the career that you're trying to get. Tell us a little bit about, it's called a me statement, also known as
your elevator pitch, or a 30-second me, and sometimes it's referred to as your value proposition.
Right. Any of those are used to talk about this, even call it a script, but it's what you use to answer that question. Tell me about yourself. Or the question, hey, tell me a little bit about why you think you're a good fit for this position. Or tell me about what you do. It could be any of those questions. And the answer should be something like what we're going to teach you about today.
Well, and most of the clues, as you know, Laynette, are actually based in the job posting itself. So if you really look that document over carefully, you'll get solid clues on the kinds of things that you should be mentioning.
So why do I need a me statement, Renie?
You need a me statement because it's usually the very first question that is being asked of you during an interview, and this is truly a power statement here. When it's delivered correctly and with a high level of confidence, it makes probably one of the biggest impressions that you can make in the first 30 seconds or less of the interview process with the interviewer. And oftentimes that determines just how long the rest of the interview is going to go.
It does, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. We've actually had clients who, after having created and practiced answering this question, have come away from their interview saying, the interviewer was so impressed. They were surprised at how I answered the question, and they were really impressed.
Yes, and this me statement, as we like to call it, it transcends over all different kinds of occupations and career choices. So it's not relegated just to executives or warehouse workers. I mean, this is usually talked about in the very first part of the interview, in every interview.
Besides interviews, when else could you use a me statement?
Well, I have found that the me statement really helps in developing a resume, especially in that upper third column part of the resume document where you have your professional profile. You can go back to your me statement and really develop a nice paragraph there. It's kind of a mini-me.
If I'm going to create one of these me statements, what are the things I need to highlight specifically in my statement?
Well, you're going to highlight your high points for sure. And that is going to include, of course, your work experience, any special skills that you have to offer a company in particular, your education and training, and one of the most important things is going to be the accomplishments, so the results of the hard work that you put in for that company. And you know, Laynette, a lot of people just, it's hard for them to find the value in those kinds of things. But everybody has contributed a certain amount of value to a company if they've worked a day. So the other thing too is really, and going back to highlighting those positive points, And they need to relate specifically to the job that you're interviewing for. And we always go back to that. So making sure that it's very targeted. It hits the high notes of the need of the employer.
So just like we've been saying with resumes, that resumes need to be targeted to the job, so does this me statement. And you can start by getting several job postings that are relevant to the work that that you do or that you're looking for, and going through those and pulling out what's important in those jobs.
Well, and that is the first order of business. Once you have that document, once you have the job posting, the first thing you should do is get out a highlighter, sit down, and really study that document and start highlighting these keywords or transferable skills that you have that really relate to, again, the need of the employer. That's particularly important.
Okay.